Didn't give me a countdown. Is it recording?
Yeah,
Oh
it
yeah,
did.
look at that. It's recording already. Okay. I didn't get the Riverside countdown like we normally do. All right, here we go. Okay, Michele, before we dive into breast implant illness, which I really want to dive into today, I want to hear your story of how you became so knowledgeable in this area, BII. So, what happened to you that made you realize that your breast implants might actually be affecting your health?
Yeah. So, well, it started a long time ago. I was in the fitness industry since I was 20 years old. Personal trainer, working at a gym. I was, my body composition, I was so lean.
Hmm.
I wasn't, I'm going to say I was so muscular. I wasn't so muscular, but I had a lot of muscle. I had a lot of
Yeah.
great definition, but my body fat was really low. At the time, I had also gone through a really crazy breakup. And I don't know if women out there can relate to this, but when I have a really high emotional stress time, my cortisol spikes. This is all in hindsight, my cortisol spikes and I will drop fat so fast. And so all of those things, I was so skinny, like so lean. I was just so flat. And I was like, okay, 25 years old. I'm taking I just broke up with my boyfriend. I was
Yep.
like, I am going to do this really crazy thing. It's going to empower me. And it did. And I'm not going to lie. I probably would have said it was one of the best things I ever did.
You mean getting
Um,
implants?
getting
Yes.
implants.
Yes. Okay.
Um, until I got them out.
Right. Right. Right.
But for like a solid 10 years, I had them and I loved the way my body looked. I didn't ever connect them to a lot of the symptoms I was having. And it wasn't like symptoms came on overnight. And it wasn't like, all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, these things are so toxic in my body. Like, I didn't have any of that knowledge yet. And some of the symptoms I was having were digestive. That was probably one of the biggest. I
Okay.
suffered with a lot of constipation, which in turn downstream, now I understand are connected. It caused me a lot of anxiety, caused me a lot of like self-consciousness in my body, like just feeling really bloated. I felt really inflamed. And this is going on probably about 5 years after I had them in. So there's like nothing, I'm thinking I just need to eat cleaner. Oh, I should drink more water. I need to move my body more. And like at the time, I was working out 7 days a week. I was eating as clean as you could imagine, but I
Mhm.
was also in such a calorie deficit all the time because my head was like, I just need to get leaner. I just need to get leaner. So you fast forward, I was 35 when I had them out, and I was already down the rabbit hole of trying to fix my metabolic health. I realized, my doctor told me my labs were normal. Um, I had high cholesterol at like 35, or I guess it would have been like 34. 34 years old, I was diagnosed with high cholesterol. She wanted to put me on a statin. I was like,
Oh
I'm
my
not
God.
doing that. Like something else is going on. And nobody could give me answers. And so I went back to school studying functional medicine, realized there's this whole other picture to metabolic health than just working out and dieting. Um, and then I came across somebody on Instagram who just like planted the seed about my breast implants. And she specifically called them the most toxic bags. And I was like, what? Nobody ever told me this.
Mhm.
So I went down a rabbit hole. I did as much research as I possibly could, figured out that potentially there was a leak, potentially they were already at the 10-year mark.
Yeah.
So, for those of you who don't know, apparently at 10 years, you're technically supposed to get them replaced. Mine actually had been recalled and I didn't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So there was kind of a lot of things going on in my head. And so what I decided to do was go all in on healing my gut, go
Mhm.
all in on hormone health, uh, you know, it, basically creating a lifestyle that was like optimal.
Mhm.
So I focused on rest, I focused on my sleep, and it really moved the needle a lot. But SIBO kept coming back. So like I would get rid of it,
Yep.
it would come back negative on the labs, and then within 6 months it was back. my hormones wouldn't move. So at 35 years old, Amie, my sex hormones were postmenopausal levels.
Oh my goodness. Okay. And real quick, did you have saline or silicone? Not that it matters, but I'm just curious.
Yeah, it was silicone, and it
Silicone.
was
Okay.
like, I'm going to say it like the way the surgeon did. The surgeon said it was like a gummy bear.
Yeah. Yeah.
So even if it was like leaking, it wouldn't leak into my system.
Right.
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 So I was like, this is cool. This is safe. It's all good. Um, anyway, and so my sex hormones were postmenopausal at 35. I had just gotten married. We were looking to start a family. I was like, how the hell am I going to start a family like this, right? So I had been working on my metabolic health for about a year, and some things just would not shift. And so I went down the rabbit hole again, and I
Mhm.
was like, all right, listen, if I'm going to invest in my future with my, future family, future kids, etc., I got to try this. Like, I got to get healthy. It's my last thing.
Mhm.
And so I went and I found a surgeon who would do, I don't know if you've heard of this, the en bloc surgery.
Maybe go ahead and describe it.
So basically, when you get breast implants, your body creates a capsule of scar tissue around them. And that scar tissue, according to BII information, is also, how do you want to say it? Like infused with
Okay.
some of the heavy metals or potentially mold that has grown on the implant. So that scar tissue has to also be removed during the surgery.
Okay.
Not all surgeons do it,
Mm.
because a lot of times, this is what my surgeon said to me. Right before the anesthesiologist put me under, my surgeon looks at me and he goes, I want you not to worry. When I scrape the scar tissue off of your rib cage,
Ow.
he said, if I puncture a lung, I did cardiothoracic surgery, cardiothoracic whatever in med school.
Oh,
So
geez.
you're in good
That's
hands. I'm
comforting.
like,
All right. Can you not puncture my lung, doc? I don't know.
right? So anyway, just kind of a wild story, but yes. So the en bloc surgery is that the capsule comes out in one piece as well,
Okay.
so that nothing gets left behind. Because a lot of times, again, BII research, a lot of times if that scar tissue, even a small amount, is left behind, it can continue symptoms. It can continue that low-grade inflammation.
Mm-hmm.
So I had them out. Within 3 days, my husband looked at me and he's like, I've never seen you look more vibrant. Like my skin, the whites of my eyes were brighter.
Mm-hmm.
And things just really shifted from there. Now, I'm not saying that I didn't do more work after that.
Yeah.
I had to do a lot of detox work, a lot of heavy metal detox, mold detox. But within 3 months, I got pregnant with my first son.
Oh, now were you struggling with that before? Were you
No,
struggling
we
with
didn't even
fertility?
try because I
Okay.
just knew that my hormones weren't where they should be.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so we weren't even trying yet. And that was a piece that I didn't want to struggle in that regard. And so when we did start trying, I was like, oh, things are back online. I can tell that everything is working as it should now.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. Okay. So on a scale from 1 to 10, with 10 being, oh my God, totally life changing, all of my symptoms are gone, and 1 being, meh, probably not much of a change. Where did you fall after your surgery?
Right after, I would say a 10 out of 10.
Okay.
Yeah. Right after, I would say, oh yeah, this was the best decision that I ever made.
Okay.
I look back at photos when I had my implants, and I looked so inflamed. I would say within 2 months, I was always lean. So we are talking about my lens looking at my body under
Yeah.
a lot of scrutiny. Okay. Somebody might
Yes.
look at my before photos and be like,
Are you
seriously,
crazy? Right. Right.
But I would say within 2 months of having my implants out, my abs were like popping. And I have since then, so it'll be 5 years about 5 years since I've had them out. I have legitimately never not had abs, even with 2 pregnancies and one of those being a twin pregnancy within 8 weeks. Like,
Pretty
so
impressive there, Michele.
I'm not trying to toot my own horn. What I'm trying to say is I look back at those photos, and even
Yeah.
though I was in great shape, I was still really inflamed.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
like almost immediately that inflammation just gone.
Mm, that's fantastic. Okay.
Yes.
And I've heard that before too. My friend Natalie Jill, I don't know if you know her, but she too had an explant. Basically said the same thing that you are, whites of eyes. I mean, she's lean as lean can be, but same thing. She could see the before and the poofy
Yes.
layer of inflammation that was over her body versus now with them out. So I'm hearing very similar stories.
Yeah. It was just such an interesting ride because I have heard a lot of people who don't feel better,
Right. And
and
we'll get into that. Yeah.
I don't know what they do afterward. I don't think that anything we do is going to be some miracle fix.
Hmm.
I think that, I had 10 years of this low grade inflammation happening in my body. There's no way that this one piece fixes everything 100%. Like I said, I still had work to do. And
Yeah.
you know what? Here I am 5 years later, 2 pregnancies later, a whole life that's different. And I still have work to do,
Yeah.
right? I
Yeah.
don't think that we should try to fool anybody with our metabolic health and say that it's like a one and done. Amie, how long have you been working out?
Oh gosh, I'm 52. So I started probably at the age of 14. I mean, almost 40 years.
Imagine if you stopped at 20 because you were like, I'm good. Right?
Yeah, no, not going to do that. Right. I see your point. Yeah.
Yeah. So same thing. So, but I will say the interesting thing now is now that like my metabolic health is phenomenal. I feel fantastic. I've got the energy. I don't have any issues with weight loss resistance.
Mhm.
I'm for all intents and purposes feel really fantastic. I wonder if my starting point was better at 25, would have I experienced the BII like I did?
Right. I see what you're
So,
saying. Yeah. And I do want to unpack because I want to find that middle ground of I don't want to scare every woman that has implants. So we're going to talk about that too. I don't want to scare every woman that has implants and think that she has to go remove them. And at the same time, those who do remove them, I love your message and saying like, it's not a one and done. Like you got to keep going, keep making changes and improve on your overall health.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, it, it's interesting. I agree. I don't want to scare women into not getting them, into getting them, into, I don't, this is never what my story is meant for.
Mm-hmm.
I have a girlfriend who she's in the functional space, and I think she might be like 44, 2 kids, very lean. She went and just had breast implants.
Mm-hmm.
And before she went and got them done, she told me, and I was like, oh my goodness, like, talk to me. Like, I want to know, like, you know everything I know. And she's like, I just think that, like, obviously it's a risk,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like
Right.
anything, like
Right.
anything. And she's like, I've got my metabolic health under control. I know how, like, I know I'm so much more knowledgeable about when things start to decline, what
Mm-hmm.
symptoms look like. Can I get ahead of them?
Yep.
And so she's pretty determined to make these work for her. And it actually was a bit of a light bulb moment for me where I was like, that feeling that you had when you first had them in and how fantastic you felt and fantastic you looked. Could you have done more before making that choice to have them out? I don't know the answer to that, but it has
Mhm.
just kind of it has sat in the back of my brain for a couple of weeks now.
Well, now that you've gone through it and obviously done much more with your health since then, since the removal, would you get them put back in again, knowing, what you know now and having a better foundation?
Mm. To be completely honest with you, I think I like the way I look better now. I like having a small chest.
Mm-hmm.
I like that I can go braless in dresses
Uh-huh.
and not have to worry about it, or I, can wear a backless shirt and not have to worry about it.
Yep.
So I think that there's something there. I am, you know, I have a 3-year-old and 9-month-old twins, and so I've breastfed all of them. Would I potentially have a lift after this? Yes.
Okay, right, right.
So like there's definitely still a bit of like I want to feel sexy and I want to feel like a woman. Not to say that you don't feel like a woman if you don't have perfect breasts. I'm not saying that. But for me, um but I don't think I would have them back in. No.
Okay. Okay.
I think I would just like it's a very expensive risk. And if in 5 years I was like, "Oh god, I'm going through this again." Am I paying another $10,000 to have them removed again and another surgery?
Hmm.
It feels like it's not worth it at this point in my life.
Gotcha. Yeah. No, I was just curious because based on what you were saying about your girlfriend, like, well, maybe if I, get the foundation a little bit better, I can go back in and do this. So yeah, I was just curious about that. So when you're working with women, because obviously now, they come to you knowing your story and they come to you for help, let's say post VII, post explant. What do you do? Like, what are the first things that you have to do to start balancing their chaotic system after removal?
Yeah, I mean, I think everything is a little bit bio-individual. I don't ever say like this is the process and this is the process for everybody. I think we go a lot with if a woman came to me and her main complaints were like weight gain and digestive issues.
Mhm.
Okay, great. We're going to run some tests. We're going to see what the dysfunction actually looks like. And then we're going to tailor something toward you. So a lot of times the gut is a huge factor in why somebody is so metabolically unhealthy, breast implants or not. And so we will always address the gut, see what's happening there. Do we need to take some things out? Is there a major dysbiosis? Are we struggling to detox? Is the thyroid converting properly, right? The thyroid hormone converting properly.
Mhm.
Um, and how are your adrenals? I mean, these are all things. I think the point is all of these things are so connected, right? All of these systems are so interconnected.
Mhm.
And when you start to disrupt one, you disrupt all of them,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
so I would say the gut is a major player. And if somebody came to me post explant, that's probably where we would start first. And like even just get some really big wins on feeling better.
Yeah. Yeah. Just start to heal and take down that inflammation, which is most likely dropping anyways post surgery. So
Hmm.
that makes your job a little bit easier. Now, what about functional tests? Because I mean, you know your way around all of those functional tests. Which ones would you start with after VII, after removal, I should say, to determine like, did this kick up something? Are we now seeing mold? Because even if you remove the capsule,
Hmm.
I'm assuming that if there was mold developing around the implant, it would have gone systemic, and now we can see it on a functional lab. So, what are
Hmm.
the functional tests that you like to use post explant to really kind of unpack? Hey, what's going on in this woman's body outside of the traditional blood work? Yeah, we can test insulin and thyroid and hormones, but what about those functional tests?
Yeah, if somebody had no budget limit,
Yeah, yeah.
we would probably do like a total tox to
Hmm.
see just what was going on systemically, as you said. We would definitely be looking at mold. We would be looking at heavy metals in an HTMA. I would be pulling a full thyroid panel plus the selenium and iodine and like seeing all the minerals that are related with the thyroid. Um, we would be looking at a Dutch complete. I want to see how your hormones are metabolizing. I want to look at your cortisol rhythm. I want to look at your detox pathways. Like what for me specifically, when I was struggling a lot with constipation, a lot of that had to do with my detoxification. Just like everything was backing up, which led my hormones to be chaotic, right?
Hmm.
And totally dysfunctional. So I would go down the whole gamut of things if we are talking about a systemic inflammation, right, from those implants. We
Hmm.
have to look at the whole picture. We cannot silo one part of our body. If there's inflammation in your gut, there's inflammation in your brain.
Hmm.
Things are not just in one part. So yeah, I would do the whole gamut of tests: GI map for the gut, full thyroid panel, total tox, mold, HTMA, Dutch, probably even oat.
Okay. And then can you describe it for the listener what the oats test are? What does that look at?
Yeah, organic acids tests, I mean, it looks at all kinds of things, but it so it can look at like neuroinflammation, it can look at your B vitamins, it can looks at glutathione. And even though we're looking at all of these tests as there are individual markers that we want to know, what we're actually looking for are patterns and what they how they actually communicate with each other. So for instance, on a Dutch complete, it's technically a hormone metabolite test. It has a bunch of other markers there as well, but for big picture here, and it can tell me a lot about hormones. Awesome. But in conjunction, for instance, with your GI map, where it has some liver marker tests, it can tell us why. What phase of detoxification are our hormones getting stuck in? So we want to look at them in conjunction with each other. And then we also want to look at them in the context of what is this person in front of us actually feeling?
Mm-hmm.
Right? I don't want to say, oh, look at this marker on your Dutch test. It's high. You must have XYZ symptom. And if they say like, oh, no, I don't feel that at all. Okay, well, maybe that's just a non-clue here. And maybe that will come back into balance as we look at the whole picture. I think that people can get really focused in on one marker, fix this marker, fix this lab result. But I think about that as like conventional medicine. When I was diagnosed with high cholesterol at 34 years old, my doctor wanted to put me on a statin. At this point, I understand the statin just changes the test result. It doesn't change what's happening inside me.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So that's how I would look at the person in front of me, and I would create the pattern. I would create the story with all of the lab results, and then in context with what that person was feeling. And that's how we would start things. But like I said, working on the gut is so huge. It, like it's like literally in the center of your body, which is no mistake. It's connected to everything, and everything has to go through there first. Right. You can see some really huge wins.
Yeah.
By correcting the gut.
And, I mean, just with all this talk, I'm going to say it right now. I'm going to encourage women to work with you if they're thinking about getting an explant, because these are important things to do even before. And I'm going to share a quick story. All of these tests that you're talking about, you might even run them before they go in so that you can start working on things to build their body up. Like you said, even your friend going in, like she's metabolically sound. She's good. She knows she's going into this surgery with a beautiful foundation. And, I think a lot of women don't. I'm going to give you the story of a friend of mine. Now, this is years ago, well before I was deep into the world of functional medicine and functional testing. And my friend decides like, hey, I'm just not getting better. I have a lot of autoimmune. I'm going to have my implants taken out. So she goes through the surgery. And for about a year and a half, she was in hell. Her face, she would have these anaphylactic reactions for no reason. She landed in the ER, if not 10, 20 times. I saw pictures of her face. When people are so swollen, you can't even see their eyes, like a bee sting of the face. She was on prednisone for a year and a half, multiple rounds of antibiotics, multiple rounds of IV antibiotics. And at that point in time, she's like, I should have just kept the effing implants in because my life turned into absolute hell. What was happening to her, do you think, at that? Like, what got kicked up from that surgery that put her body into a tailspin?
Oh my gosh. I feel for her. I have to just ask, after a year and a half like that, did she come out of that?
Yeah, it kind of balanced out. I mean, it trickled like a year and a half of bad. I would say 2 to 2.5 of like not fantastic. And then it kind of just, trickled from there. Now I use the term friend. She was more of an acquaintance, so I haven't kept in touch with her. So I probably should reach out and be like, hey, by the way, how are you doing now? That was 10 years ago. How are you doing now?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just curious because seeing what she went through, that has now led me to the place where even if a patient of ours says like, hey, I'm thinking about getting my implants out, I'm like, just wait, just wait. Let's do some
Yes.
testing. Let's make sure everything is balanced, and let's make sure that it's not something else before you go through this surgery, because you're talking about money and then the mental. Like it would definitely absolutely affect me mentally if I took mine out. I've had them for 30 years with no issues. And then the thing that happens afterwards, like, let's make sure that you don't go into that kind of reaction. So yeah, I just love to pick your brain. What do you think happened? Did it kick up mold? Did it, I don't know.
It could have. I think that anytime that you have a stressful event, so let's say her surgery it was almost like the catalyst to this thing. I had just said that I had broken up with my boyfriend and I had lost a ton of weight. So that's like a stressful event.
Stressor.
Your body reacts, right? And we don't really know how our body will react in a lot of ways. And it does depend on where our metabolic health is currently. And so I would say that her body potentially went into like a full heavy metal or mold dump once this piece was out of her body and her immune system didn't have to fight it off all the time.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, hang on a second. I now need to fight off everything that it put into my body. And then it could have been a complete, you said autoimmune. So yeah, it could have been her immune system now just like in overdrive, trying to figure out what it needed to fight off because it had been fighting something for a number of years. I think that often with clients that I see, we talk about, has there been any major event in your life, any major surgery when we talk about their health history? And we can pinpoint when their health started to decline, when those things happened.
Yeah.
So that actually doesn't shock me. And then the other thing that I was going to say is that when I see clients who, I talk a lot about detoxification, and I think that detoxification of the body and supporting that system is so incredibly important daily for every function of the body. Like there's nothing staying in my body that shouldn't be here. Like that's my point. And so a client who might be 55, who's never detoxed her body before. And I don't mean celery juice cleanse. And I don't mean, some detox tea. I mean like actually supporting the liver, actually supporting your kidneys, your lymph, all of that, all of your drainage pathways. If you don't properly prepare somebody for even something as, minimal as just getting their body working again, they can have major dumps of copper. They can have major dumps of mold. You can disrupt parasites in your body. You can disrupt opportunistic bacteria in your gut, and things can just take over. So it's not actually shocking that a major surgery would have done that for her. And I agree, it would have been nice if she had somebody take her through a lot of the foundations before undergoing something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we kind of like went forward, like surgery, post-surgery. Now let's back up to like pre-surgery on both ends of the spectrum. So let's look at pre-surgery for people who are thinking about getting breast implants, and pre-surgery for people who are thinking about getting them out. So you're in that pre-surgery mode, and you're like, okay, now I'm hearing this podcast. Maybe should I not get breast implants? So I'm going to throw in, not even like a devil's advocate. I'm just going to throw in, experiential opinion.
Yeah.
So like I said, I've had my implants for 30 years. I have autoimmune. I have no issues. I really don't. I'm living my best life. I'm in optimization land. I'm fine. And I love my implants. I'm probably going to die with them. I'm going to be buried in the ground with a couple of silicone things in my body. Now, they're not the same implants that I got 30 years ago, for goodness sake. I've gone through silicone. I've gone through saline. I went back to silicone, and I'm fine. And like you said, like, they just balance me out. I have a little bit wider hips, shorter torso. It just gives some curves, for goodness sake. Gives me a little bit more confidence. But so I don't want to scare a woman who wants to go through that surgery and balance her body and have a little bit more confidence. I mean, but what should she do? So let's take the bucket of the woman thinking about getting implants. What should she do to try to figure out or unpack whether her body is going to be reactive? Is there a way that we can tell, like, hey, you're going to react, but I'm not?
I don't know if there's a way that you're going to tell. I would say that if you are somebody, I think you have to assess your metabolic health. So, have you heard of the rain barrel effect by Dr. Stephen Cabral?
No.
So, the rain barrel effect, I'll just use my glass of water like an example. Rain barrel effect is like this. If I were to turn my tap on and just keep pouring water into this, eventually it's going to overflow,
Mhm.
right? And so, the rain barrel effect essentially is about toxic load. And so, how much toxic load can I put into this water glass before it overflows? I think about my journey with BII as I eventually had a toxic load that overflowed. And the overflow resulted in the symptoms, resulted in the digestive system that I couldn't keep healed, resulted in the postmenopausal hormones, resulted in, whatever, constipation, exhaustion, insomnia, anxiety, etc. And so I think that if somebody were to be weighing their options, they also need to really take a hard look in the mirror and say, what is my toxic load? Because I'm about to add something to my body that we like, I don't know, can you honestly say that the foreign object in your body isn't adding a toxic load? I'm not saying it's giving you symptoms. I'm just saying
Oh, sure.
there
Definitely
is
is.
there, right?
Yeah. Right.
I would say it is equivalent as putting alcohol into your body, equivalent as getting Botox, equivalent as anything that you're going to put that's foreign in your body that your body is not happy about. So
Mhm.
my journey
Okay.
just happens to be about breast implants. So I would say somebody who's considering that, take a good long hard look and honestly say, are there places I could cut the toxicity to add the implant with no repercussion?
Mm. Yep. I like
So
that.
I color my hair. This is
Yeah.
toxic. It's toxic.
Same.
Our whole freaking world is toxic. So we have
Yes.
to pick and choose. We're not going to get away from it. So we have to pick and choose. We have to decide, what are we going to fill our cup with, and what
Mhm.
are we going to, like, how are we going to manage so that it doesn't overflow?
Yes. Yes. Okay.
So
I love
that's
that.
what I would say to the woman weighing her options there.
Yes, I love that. And because it's hard. It's hard to determine. It's not necessarily a checklist. Like if you have autoimmune, if you're sensitive to medication, like it's not that easy.
Hmm.
And I love I love that analogy of the cup and the bucket, and how much do you already have in? Is this going to push you over the edge? It's going to spill the bucket over. Now, for the woman who is thinking about the surgery to explant, and we touched on this a little bit already with different testing and different things you can do to shore up your body and build that foundation so that you're going into the surgery a lot stronger. And obviously, you're going to heal better from it. And it's going to have a better outcome. But for her, considering it, obviously you're not out there telling every single one of your clients, oh yeah, if you have implants, you got to go get them out. Doesn't matter. Get them out. How do you unpack it for her or with her to determine, is it the implant? Like maybe we can do some things and you can keep them. Maybe we can do some things and it's ultimately going to end up that, yeah, it's probably good idea to explant.
Yeah. So I would take my own experience into account here. And I would say that I worked on my metabolic health very diligently for like a solid year and a half. And there were things that just didn't resolve.
Mm,
And
mhm.
it got down to like the person I was working with, like we literally were just on a call like this going, okay, this, like, it's the end of the road. We've
Yeah.
tried everything and it's just not shifting. Um, so I would say, I would never say just go have a surgery. Like
Right.
never in a million
Right.
years would I say just go have it. Like, hey, nice to meet you. You have breast implants. I won't work with you until you go, till you go have them explanted. No, of course not. I would say almost the same tactic. Let's reduce your toxic load and see how you feel. If you feel a 10 out of 10 and your implants are still in, then keep going, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Because like your acquaintance there, it's
Mhm.
having them out doesn't come without a cost as well. A financial cost, a physical cost, a mental cost.
Right.
I have just realized now 5 years after my explant surgery that where I am in my life, I'm good. I'm good now.
Yeah. That's
You know what I
fantastic.
mean? So
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say I would probably weigh the same. Like, where are you in terms of toxic load? Where is your metabolic health? Are you unwell? Then we
Hmm.
need to fix that before we go down this road. And, I did, in all fairness, I did have somebody say to me, a functional practitioner, when I was kind of going down the rabbit hole, she was like, there's no way BII exists. And when I had mine out, it was like a really quiet story. It was just kind of ramping up. And she did not believe. And I don't know, something didn't sit well with me about
Hmm.
it. And I know for a fact she still has her implants, and that's amazing. I don't know how well she's doing.
Right. Right. Well,
So,
and that's just such the perfect example too of how we can't make a judgment on someone else based on where we are because we're all an N of one.
mhm.
I mean, yeah, all day. Like I could sit here and tell you what I just did. 30 years, no issues. I'm good. I'm fine. But then, you meet someone that it's life changing. So there's no one size fits all in this health world. We,
Yeah.
we can't overlay our experience on anyone else because everyone has a different experience that everyone is going to respond differently.
Yeah.
Yeah. So chronic health conditions. I mean, BII can tie into this, but I also want to kind of step over here into the Lyme and mold bucket and these chronic health conditions that you work with, that you see so many people struggle with. That, yes, it could be tied back to breast implant illness, or you could be working with these issues in someone that's never had an implant. How do you deal? Like, where do you first start? Is it the gut where you first start when you're dealing with these really chronic, long-standing, hard to overcome in just a few months type of conditions?
If we want to talk about like real tactics, yeah, I like to start in the gut. Like I said, people who are struggling for years with chronic pain or, chronic symptoms, they're exhausted, they are overwhelmed, they really lack trust because they've probably seen 15 doctors or practitioners or people who have told them, they'll help them get better. And in my experience, starting in the gut, even in like weeks, for
Mm,
weeks, you can see inflammation drop. You can see weight drop, which I work with mostly women in like perimenopause age.
yeah,
So like these are some pretty big main complaints, or like, the big symptoms they want to see gone.
right.
You can see brain fog lift pretty quickly based on gut. But before we even look at test results, because they take about a month to, fully get back
Mhm.
to me, I call them lifestyle anchors. And I've got things that people need to be doing in the first 30 days before we even open a test result. Because even though, gut health would be a foundation of health, what is a foundation of gut health? It's what you're eating, it's what you're absorbing.
Yeah. So before you add on the 50,000 gut supplements, look at it. Right. Exactly. Look at what you're eating.
Let's take a look at what you're eating. And, I had this conversation with somebody the other day, and I said this line and it made me laugh, and I wrote it down because I was like, I got to say that on podcasts, on social media, whatever. Like, can I swear?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. I said, it's going to suck for a minute and then it's going to get really fucking good.
Yep.
And I laugh when I say that because, yeah, might you have to take out some foods that you absolutely love? Yeah, if they're causing major inflammation or if they're causing an immune reaction, you absolutely need to take that out if you want to heal,
Hmm.
especially when it comes to chronic conditions. Like you have to, period, end of. Not necessarily forever, but you
Hmm.
have to realize what's going on in your body. And that fucking sucks. It
Yeah,
sucks to not eat the pizza,
it
you know?
does.
It
Yep.
sucks to take cream out of your coffee or sugar out of your coffee or whatever. It sucks for a minute.
Yeah.
And then when you watch your body change and your mind change and your sleep get better and your sex drive come back and your hair grow again, like it gets really fucking good,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I always think, like, what hill are you dying on? Pizza?
That's a great way to put it, Michelle. That is fantastic. Because, yeah, like get someone to answer that. Like, oh, yeah, I guess I'm gonna die on the pizza hill. Hmm.
Like that
Yeah.
sounds ridiculous, right?
Right. Right.
So I just think to myself, we have, before the test results, every single person needs to get some like real foundations nailed down. And so that looks like what you're eating, what you're absorbing. We look at chronic stress as well as chronic illness and chronic, like, do you have enough stomach acid to even digest the food that you're eating? Like, we need to start there,
Right.
right? Your food is what gives you energy for everything.
Mm-hmm.
Are you even eating enough?
Yep.
I don't know if you
Yep.
see that in your world. I mean, being a thyroid doctor, I feel like,
All the time. All the
yeah,
time.
everybody's
Because
under eating,
restriction
right?
is real. They're desperate.
Yeah.
They start cutting calories and doing every diet under the sun to try to lose the weight. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. So the under eating, like, you're just going to throw your hormones down the tank. Like, it's anyway. So we talk about getting sunlight. We talk about, how much are you actually sleeping? Like, deep, restful sleep. Do you
Yeah.
have a sleep routine? And I don't mean like people often say to me, yeah, I sleep like 6-7 hours.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. I'm like, what time do you go to bed? I don't know, somewhere between like 10:30 and midnight. Okay, like, this is not good sleep routine. Like, go to bed at 10:30, get up at 7 every
Mm-hmm.
day,
Every day.
Monday to Monday. You know?
Yep.
Nobody can mess with my sleep. Like, I'm
I
not
know.
joking. Nobody. My kids, okay, fine. You need me.
I get it. I get it. Yeah. No, I mean, that's why I yell at my husband for. I'm like, no, my bedtime is 10. Like that. I'm diligent about it. I'm diligent.
100%. So yeah, sunlight, obviously rest is a big one. And then stress. Like, what is this world so stressed about?
I
You
mean,
know?
stress is a killer. It really is. You hear it and it's like a cliche term until you're under some kind of stress load and your body shifts and changes and something pops up. Like, you might break out in hives, a rash, you might develop a sickness, it might be worse. And you go, oh, that's what they mean by stress kills. Okay, I
Yeah.
get it now. Yeah.
Yes. 100%. And it's funny, I when I talk to a lot of my girlfriends just personally, and they say things like, "Oh, I'm so stressed out about this outfit, that I have to wear to a wedding." And I'm like, "Are you stressed out about it? Like, why?"
Right. Right. You
Why?
need progesterone, girlfriend. Yeah.
Right?
You need some progesterone
You need to go to bed at 9:30.
or go to bed. Yeah. Get more sleep. You won't be stressed about an outfit. My goodness. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, gosh, if all I had to be stressed about was an outfit, I mean, maybe I'd be under less stress. But no, I think that stress management is really important. And that doesn't always look like mental stress or financial stress or emotional stress. It can look like eating food that your body is responding poorly to.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Thinking back again to your acquaintance there who had this wild reaction to that surgery. That surgery was a major stressor and her body responded to it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So getting stress under control is really important. And however people choose to do that, whatever modality works for them, it doesn't need to be meditation. Meditation doesn't work for me. I have a very
No.
busy brain.
Yeah.
And that serves me. And I used to judge myself for having a very busy brain and being very A-type and driven and, like always wanting to do something new and create something and, have a new launch because that's exciting, right? But I now realize that actually serves me and I don't actually judge myself for it. So what do? I have very strict boundaries about when I allow myself to be on like that.
Yeah.
And when I need to be down.
I'm learning those boundaries now because I'm the same as you. Yeah. I go. I love the challenge. Give me more. I'm working on those boundaries. So congratulations on finding them.
Thank you. Do you have kids?
I don't. So I have a lot of free time, which that expands my boundaries.
100%. I use my kids as
Yeah.
the boundary. Like, 3-4 o'clock comes, my son comes home from daycare. I close my laptop. I park my phone. Like, nothing needs to get done now.
Right.
Right? Like,
Right.
I will survive if I start it tomorrow morning.
Yeah. No one's dying if you don't answer their email today.
No,
Right.
exactly. And I think that our world doesn't do women any good in terms of society's pressures. And, I mean, I'm somebody who puts it on myself, like you, go, hustle, drive, all the things. But, society tells us that we need to be working and we need to be doing this and we need to be doing that. And we have to be a sexy hot wife, which I love. Hey, don't get me wrong. I'm not judging anybody for wanting that. I also want that.
Right.
But you have to have the kids, and they have to be in private school, and they have to be this, and there's just like a ton of shit that goes on, and the pressure that is put on us. And so I think that just getting really real about what is like pressing on you in terms of stress, you just need to be aware of it and focus on ways to figure out how to de-stress your day.
Yes, absolutely. And it all plays into the health bucket. It really does.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of coming back to the topic at hand, BII. So when you're dealing with a woman, let's say post explant, and she's still struggling with symptoms after explant surgery, like, first of all, why is that? And then what's the next step? What do you tell her?
Interesting. If her symptoms are still related to BII, because they might not be at that point,
Mm-hmm.
Could it be that some of the capsule is still inside of her?
Right.
Mold.
If they didn't have the full capsule taken out too, if they went to a different surgeon, like you said, that most of them don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that could be part of the issue. Now, would I suggest she go in for another surgery to just even look for that? Probably. Like, I'm not going to suggest surgery to anybody unless it's like an acute scenario where you have to have it.
Mm-hmm.
Surgery is rough on the body.
Right.
But I mean, you could look at other things, right? Those chronic symptoms that people, and myself included, have labeled as BII can also be things like root canals, inflammation in the mouth.
Yep.
Like I said before, if you've got inflammation in one area of your body, you've got it in all of your body.
Yeah.
Right?
It's true. Yeah.
I would also look, like, if you've done a lot of healing, there's like a saying in my world, when all else fails, look for mold. So if you haven't tested for mold, or if you are living in mold and you don't know it, or if you were exposed to mold 10 years ago and the mold spores are in your body and the surgery was the catalyst to create the big immune response.
Yeah.
Like, I'd be looking down those pathways, and mold is a hard one to get rid of, not only in your home, but it's a hard one to get rid of in your body. Now, I also don't believe that mold is a root cause, which I know I feel like I've contradicted myself, but I'll tell you why. Mold is a natural fungus that exists in our environment.
Mm-hmm.
And now, like anything, if it enters your body in an abundance and there is a toxic overload, of course, you're going to have a reaction. But the answer still becomes, why can't your body deal with this on its own?
Yes. Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
So if, in fact, we do find mold, for instance, then it's not just like, okay, here's a bunch of supplements to get rid of mold. It's like, why is there dysfunction in your detoxification system? So, like, what is happening through all of those drainage pathways that's clogging things up?
Mm-hmm.
And we have to ask why. Are there nutrient deficiencies? Is our thyroid, are we hypothyroid and things are not moving well? Do we have poor motility? Again, depending on the stage of life, if you are perimenopausal or postmenopause, like, just the hormone chaos causes a cascade of symptoms as well, which puts the stress on the body too. So which can clog up the detoxification system. So there's a lot we can continue to look and investigate deeper in. If you've done all the right things after explant and you're still not feeling 100%, there are lots of avenues that we can go. But what I like to do with all of my clients, regardless of BII or, chronic SIBO or IBS or like whatever it is that we're dealing with, autoimmunity, is I like to quantify symptoms so that we can zoom out, because it's really easy to say, let's say one of your symptoms is insomnia, right? And it's something you've dealt with for a really long time. It's really easy to go from like every night waking up between 2 and 4 and up for 2 hours and then asleep for an hour and then awake again. Like, it's really easy to go from that to sleeping generally pretty good, to have one bad night to think it's all gone to shit. So I like to quantify symptoms, like on a scale of 0 to 5. 5 being you're experiencing it every day, all day, 0
Mhm.
being you never experience it. And then we look at those numbers and the total over the period of the time that we're working together. So over the period of 4 to
Love that.
6 months, a year, like how much has really improved, right?
Yeah, I love that.
Because it's really easy to forget. Like it's the same mindlessness we have as you walk by the pantry and grab a cookie. You know,
Yep.
you might not realize that you've had 3 today, but you walked by your pantry 3 times, so you grabbed one, right?
Yes.
So it's kind of the same thing. And when you start to feel better, you have this major relief, but then you have that one night or that one day where you're constipated and you're like, oh my God, my gut's fucked again.
Yeah. Here we go
Right?
again. Right. No, no, no. It's just one day. You know, it's
Yeah,
not
it's
like
not that big of
and
a deal,
progress
right?
isn't linear either. Would you agree? I mean, you're not just going to be like, I got my implants out now. It's all uphill from here. It's like, no, you're going to go up and down. You can get better. You can get worse. Progress is never linear in a health journey.
100%. I mean,
Yeah.
your life is constantly changing. Metabolic health changes based on your environment. So, did you have an explant and then 6 months later get divorced?
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yep.
Did you have a
Yep.
death in the family? Did your dog pass away? Like these are all, did you lose your job? There are did you travel? Like
Mm.
major
Yep.
stressors on the body, right? That shift your microbiome, that shift your ability to absorb your nutrients. Like there's so much. And I'm not trying to make this sound like it's super complicated because it's not that complicated. It is really just like listening to your body and understanding what it needs. I do think that a lot of women that I work with really give away a lot of their power to even me. And I'm like, I'm just a guide here. I'm not here to be like, you have to do this thing. But I do think we give away a lot of our power to Fitbits, to Aura rings, to,
Mm.
practitioners or doctors, or,
Yes.
we buy into a lot of stuff when
Yes.
it can be simpler by just going like, oh, you know what? Hey, here's a great example. I am somebody who has been gluten free for a number of years because it just doesn't agree with me. We took my son to the zoo on Tuesday, and my husband packed lunch and totally forgot that I was gluten free. And so he bought a bunch of like really delicious baguettes and made some great sandwiches and all the things. And it was super hot here in Toronto, and I was
Yep.
exhausted, and I was like, well, screw it. Okay, I'll eat the sandwich. It's fine. Like I immediately didn't feel great.
Right.
Right? So like it is just about like just like tune into your body. Your body will tell you what's going on and what you need. If you're exhausted, your mineral balance is probably off.
Yes.
All of a sudden. But I always say look back at your food. Your food is everything. Your food is everything. It's going to change everything in your body.
Yes. Yes. I have to say, I love it when I have someone come on and we're speaking the same language. Like, this is where I get like the shit eating grin on my face when I'm talking to people. If people watch us on YouTube, like when someone says something like, you have no idea that I say XYZ and you just said it. And I'm like, yes, yes, preach it, girlfriend. So I'm just going to pull out. I mean, you've said so many things today that I agree with. But one of the things that I wanted to pull out, just kind of going back a few sentences, is on the mold thing. And oh my goodness, I posted something maybe 2 summers ago that, I mean, the mold community, man. I mean, you question them and they're going to take your head off.
Oh my
So I
God.
just said, like, listen, we're all exposed to mold. We all have mold. Exactly what you said. It's a natural substance. You're going to be exposed to it if you live and breathe and have a pulse. It's how is your body equipped to deal with it?
Mm-hmm.
Is it, I always use the term shored up, like strong, shored up, and is it prepared to deal with a mold exposure, or is that mold exposure going to take you down? Because that mold isn't going to take all of us down. But if you're not shored up, it's going to take you down, and you're going to experience symptoms for 2 years, and I'm going to experience symptoms for an hour.
Mm-hmm.
So I love, love, love that you said that. And it really, I mean, that so many of your statements can be applied across the board. Again, whether we're talking about chronic illness, breast implant illness, wherever you are in your health journey, you have to listen to you. Don't give away your power to a wearable, or like you just said, to the IG influencers. I mean, there's so many more of them coming out these days, confusing people.
Mm-hmm.
and don't give away your power to what you see on Instagram. Listen to your own body and do your own research. And listen to people that speak to you. Like, hey, if you don't resonate with me, don't listen. If I resonate with you, then listen. I promise I won't bullshit you, and neither will Michele.
Yeah.
So I love what you said there. I just had to point that out. I had to point that out.
I want to actually just build on your mold piece there.
Yeah.
It's making me think that in this moment, everybody, this is real time, guys. The wheels are turning.
Yes.
So I believe that BII is real. I don't want the BII community coming after me, just
Right.
like the mold community.
Right.
Mold exposure and mold illness is real. Lyme is real.
Yes.
Breast implant illness, it's all real. We're all, people are experiencing these things. But again, it all comes down to the underpinning of why can't your body tolerate it? Now,
Yes.
it doesn't mean that you shouldn't get rid of it. So in my case, the breast implants, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't get rid of it, because when you take out the stressor, the body can heal. And I have the experience that my body couldn't fully heal until I had those out. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't address getting the mold out, but this is probably why people who have breast implant illness don't always feel better, is because you still didn't address the why. Why did you react? Yes, because they were in your body, but now that they're out, there was clearly something underlying going on. There's still a why. The underpinning is your overall metabolic health. How does your gut function? How do your hormones function? How is your thyroid functioning? How is your brain functioning? You know, I think there was a study that said 93. Now, I'm going to talk out of both sides of my mouth. 93% of the people on this planet are not metabolically healthy.
Right.
That sounds like a lot. The study, that's a very big generalization. Basically, what the study was actually saying is that 7% of the population only 7% of the population would fall under a metabolically healthy, meaning there is not a lick of dysfunction in their body.
Okay.
So, you could have like eyesight issues, and well, you're metabolically dysfunctional. So I'm not trying to like totally discredit this idea of 93%. But the world is not healthy.
No.
Period. If it's not 93%, what is the stat on thyroid issues? It's like 60% of women have thyroid issues at some point in their life. It's something crazy.
Right. And that's diagnosed. So then you have the other 30% that are walking around undiagnosed. So it's probably more like 90. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So, we're not metabolically healthy. So you're having reactions to mold. I'm going to get into trouble with this.
Controversial moment coming up.
You have symptoms of perimenopause, and you have fibromyalgia, and you are struggling with you're struggling with gut issues and autoimmunity and all of these things, because underneath is not metabolically healthy.
Yeah.
Do you know who Dr. Jen Simmons is?
Oh, I love Jen. Yes.
Okay. So I was talking to her a couple of weeks ago, and we were discussing the same thing. Like, if cancer is a metabolic disease, what is the underpinning of metabolic health? It's literally everything that we've spoken about today. Yeah. It's what are you eating? What is your body exposed to? What is that toxic load? All of those things. Are you sleeping well? Are you detoxifying well? Are you moving your body?
Yeah.
If the answer is no, and you have not nailed down those pieces, then you can probably expect a diagnosis at some point in your life.
Yes. Amen. Amen to that. You're so right. That is so beautifully said. This is why I love this woman. She's so good. She's so good. Okay. So what would you say the biggest misconception then is? I mean, would you say that around BII, is it that does it tie into what you just said, that, it's not necessarily you got to go get them out, but you have to fix the underlying metabolic issue? What's the biggest misconception?
Well, I'll speak to two things. One of the biggest misconceptions is that breast implants are safe for everybody. So when I was 25 and I went to the surgeon that I chose, It was somebody who had them done by him. She recommended me. And, the only questions I had to ask were like, what are my risk of breast cancer? Like, I
Mhm.
just assumed that
Yep.
putting something in that area might cause issues there. And I didn't ask this, but he did say you'd have no trouble breastfeeding. I was 25. I wasn't even thinking about kids at that point.
Right.
So basically my only thought was like, what are my risk of breast cancer? I didn't know about BII. I didn't understand autoimmunity. I didn't understand chronic symptoms and if they related. So I think that there's a big misconception that you put this foreign body into your body. It is technically medical grade, which sounds beautiful, right? It sounds great and on paper. And like my physician, like my family doctor, my primary care doctor, she told me there's no chance that it could be affecting me. I had another family doctor say the same thing. My surgeon said the same thing. Even the surgeon I went to who took them out told me there was no way that it was causing all these. Like everybody was like,
Okay.
there's like, I wouldn't necessarily say I felt gaslit because I was like hard headed and was like, well, no, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Like, there's something wrong here. Anyway, so I think one, that's a misconception. I think that, again, you have to recognize that your own bio-individuality is going to come into play. And you have to weigh the risks versus the rewards, like any decision you make in your life. Don't just let the medical community say it's totally safe, no risks, right? Other than maybe anesthesia. I'm sure that people think that that's the major risk. That's
Yeah.
one misconception. I think that the other misconception is that when you are experiencing BII, and if that's what that, I am not gaslighting anybody. Again, I believe it's real. I was experiencing it. But if you are experiencing that, and it is technically a cluster of symptoms that you are having that are kind of going unexplained by your medical doctor, that's how I would describe what BII really is. It looks like autoimmunity. It feels like autoimmunity. But I would say the misconception there is that everything falls under BII,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And we kind of spoke about it. If somebody is thinking they have BII, there's no test that says, yep, positive.
Right. Right.
So do the work to get you've invested 10 grand or however much it costs you to put the things in. Invest another 5 in some functional testing, invest some time and some effort into your metabolic health and see where you land. It's
Mhm.
really and again, another thing Jen Simmons said to me, it's really easy to blame the doctor, the practitioner, the pill for it not working the way you want.
Yeah.
Nobody ever wants to look in the mirror and actually do the work,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So if you've put them in and you've invested the money, then invest again in your health. Because I promise you, if you get them out and you don't invest the time and money into your health, you're not going to feel any better.
Yep. I love it. There's the mic drop moment right there. There it is. Not only are you not going to feel any better, but now you're going to be 10 to 20K in the hole when you could have just been 5 and you got to keep your implants and feel better. So,
100%.
yeah, I love it. Oh, I absolutely love this woman. Anyone thinking of doing anything with your health, just go see Michele. She'll guide you. So, Michele, tell people where they can find you. How can they connect with you? How can they listen to your podcast that I was a guest on? How can they work with you if they want to?
Yeah. So I hang out daily on Instagram. So it's Michele Scarlet _. My mom was she spelled my name all wrong. One L, one T. Everybody's going to be searching Michele
You
with 2 L's and
spelled
not
my
find me.
name wrong. It's great.
Michele Scarlet, 1L, 1T _. That's on Instagram. My website is michelescarlet.com. Super easy. And my podcast can be listened to across all audio platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, etc. It's called the Body Freedom Podcast, where we talk about all things women's health. And we uncover the myths and the bullshit, kind of like this episode, just around, things that we are told by our doctors,
Mhm.
that just really isn't true. And so we uncover a lot of that kind of stuff on my podcast. I interview people like Dr. Amie here all the time. Actually, I think your episode's going to drop in the next couple of weeks, by the way, so I'll make sure you
Nice.
have that as well. But yeah, come find me, come message me if you've got questions. Happy to help. I'm just an email away.
Amazing. Amazing. And you're so just approachable, and I love your knowledge. So encourage everybody to find her, follow her, and work with her if you want. So Michele, thank you so much. And thank you all for listening. Share this episode. You got a friend with some implants and she's got some health issues. Let's educate her a little bit so she can make the right decision. So share this episode and take care of yourself as well. Pay attention to your body. Those symptoms are gifts given to you. So don't ignore them.